Hi everyone. First of all, thank you so much for joining this webinar today. My name is Junaidi and I'm Senior Pre-Sales Consultant in Technosoft Consulting. We are the leading cloud business solution provider and also a Microsoft Gold partner. We have delivered over a 20 years successful business solution for more than 120 clients across all industry and countries. So in this session, I will presenting an overview of Microsoft Customer Data Platform, which is Customer Insight, and how this platform can transform your company into a customer-centric organization where the marketing, sales, and service professional have the insight they need to personalize experience. So from the agenda perspective, I will explain about what is a customer data platform or CDP, and then we'll continue with a customer insight overview, and we'll also show you the product in a real live with demo. And the most important thing is how this solution or CDP solution can be extendable to other products like a marketing, sales, and also Power Platform. As we go through the session, feel free to ask question by typing your question in the Q&A panel at the right side of the Teams window, right? And we will take that later and answer it at the end of the session. So let's start with definition of CDP. But before that, let's talk a little bit about how is customer in the today market. In today competitive buying market, customer have access more than content, purchasing channel, and brand option than ever before. Uh, with such an overload of information and choice available, businesses cannot longer survive by simply providing the bare minimum necessary to keep the customer from leaving. Instead, they must demonstrate that they both understand and value their customer by delivering the exceptional experiences and outcome. This is where the data comes in, and whereas the customer data platform or CDP is helping to evolve the customer experience by providing the organization with the means to not only gain a deep understanding of their customer, but to then leverage the insight that power the proactive action and meaningful engagement throughout every touch point. So by definition, that come from a CDP Institute, say that a CDP is a pre-built system that centralize data from all sources and then make this data available to other systems across all businesses. For example, it can be used in the marketing campaign, customer service, or maybe sales. I will show you this possible uh, in the demo session. Okay. So, based on the condition of the customer today, it's no longer a question whether organization needs a CDP or not, right? But which one they should choose. So let's take a look at some of the key functionality to consider when you're selecting a CDP. The first thing is the unify data. The core function of CDP is to unify data to gain a 360-degree view of the customer, right? So a good CDP should have the ability to bring all your data from disparate sources to eliminate the silo and create a common data estate. And it must have a pre-built connector to seamlessly ingest data from any sources and integrate with all channel of customer interaction. And the CDP should be able to standardize those data in a common data model and build a federated customer data with a standardized data schema across different systems and services. And then when you get the unified data, a good CDP should enable you to make a more informed decision or maybe discover a new customer measure and segment based on the historical data, and also enable you to take action based on that segment or measurement. And the most important thing is a good CDP should be able to adapt and extendable to meet your business needs. For example, is it easy to integrate with your custom application, or can we do the development of custom dashboard or reporting that enable the deeper insight based on the CDP? So with all those checklists that I mentioned before, how to select a good CDP, Microsoft launched a product called Customer Insight. This is they name it Dynamics 365 Customer Insight, which is the Microsoft CDP, and is the core that enable every organization to understand their customer data, including transactional, behavior, and observational data, drive those insights, and be able to deliver the and power those personalized experiences and processes. And also, is it provide an open API. It means that a organization can easily connect to any workflow or business processes engine without complex configuration or coding. So let's looking under the hood how a customer insight works, right? The first thing and very critical is to be able to bring every data from everywhere to make a 360-degree view of customer profile, right? So the solution enable an administrator to bring in all the data from various sources, whether the data sit in a transactional or behavior, internal or external data sources. So they have the pre-built connector that can bring all your data into customer insight. So what happens if all the data is sit in one place? There must be an error, a duplicate data, or misspelling. I think both of you and me experience the same situation where sometimes our name is misspelled or mispronounced. Sometimes in one system they record my name with A and I become Junaidi, and in other system they record my name with E and I become Junaidi, which is correct, but both of the record have the same phone number, which which is two of the both of record is the same person. But how we know that these two record are the same person, right? So with customer insight, the solution will standardize the data and apply a built-in AI to automatically map, match, and merge the customer record into one comprehensive customer profile. In addition, organization can also create a richer profile with a brand affinity and interest from Microsoft Grab. But this function is unfortunately is only available in the US market for today. Okay, after that, with accessible, persistent, and up-to-date customer data, the entire organization has the single source of truth on top of which analytic, AI, and machine learning can be applied to derive insight and KPI, right? So it means like you can create your own machine learning for I know that every industry have a different analytic. For example, like automotive have a different analytic about their data, financial services or retail industry. So every industry can create a custom machine learning on top of Azure and using that model to analyze the data that has been unified in the customer insight to give you an insight uh, that can be push to another channel or create a more personalized experience across all channel of engagement. For example, like you can create a report with Power BI based on the unified data you already done in customer insight, or you can create an automation or trigger based on the insight that produced by customer insight, and you can also can create a mobile apps using the Power Apps and integrate with customer insight. So all of this, the main idea of all of this is to create a end-to-end customer experience, right? So let's say in the marketing scenario, if you want to deliver a more personalized campaign, yes, you can do that by creating a more accurate and micro-targeted segment to better reach a prospect and customer. You can use the combination of event, location, user profile attributes, and historical data from customer insight to deliver a personalized information, content, and also the offer. For sales scenario, when a salesperson call you, wouldn't be great if they knew a lot of more about you, right? Maybe they can provide you with some recommendation for a complementary products or services instead just the thing that you have already browsed or bought, right? So yes, in the sales, is another important function that we can leverage by using the customer insight. And then finally, the customer service. You know, sometimes honestly, I'm very frustrating when you call a customer service and they need to ask you a lot of questions. Even you are the loyal customer for maybe more than 10 years, right? And that exactly the customer insight can take apart. With customer insight, a call center agent can deliver not only personalized but also consistent and interaction, which leave a customer a sense of being valued and understood. So the customer feel that the company know them, and it can build a long-term trust relationship. So that's all about customer insight, the overview of the customer insight and the CDP. So without further ado, let's jump to the demo so I can show you how this product works, right? So here's the look and feel of the customer insight. So in the home page, you can see there's insight information, segmentation information, also some documentation about the customer insight. So in here, inside, you can see there is some average web purchase value and average store purchase value. Actually, this insight we created from the unified customer profile. I will show you later how we can create insight from the different system and combine into one unified customer data. So if we jump to the customer page in here, you can see all of this customer has been unified from different system. And if we are looking for maybe one person in this page, you can see all of the information is come from different sources, right? So for demographic data, we can see that there is some information come from e-commerce and also some from customer service and also come from loyalty system, right? And in the timeline, you can see there's a three system here from POS system, from website, and also from e-commerce, and all the timeline is combined into one. And below, you can see the total club point and lifetime spend is actually pulled from the loyalty system. In here, you can see the potential interest and potential brand is been has been enriched by Microsoft Grab, but unfortunately is only available in the US market. And this one is average web purchase and average store purchase also pulled from the e-commerce and POS system. So all of this information actually come from different sources combined into one pages, customer 360 view, unified, and this information you actually can export out to another product. So in here you can see the data source here. You can see this from uh, different system and combine to one. I will show you how we can combine these five different system into one customer unified later. So in here, we can see the export destination, the pre-built integration that has been seamlessly integrated with customer insight. We have Dynamics 365 for marketing. We have Dynamics 365 for sales and maybe a customer service or a Power Apps. We can create a Power Apps, mobile apps that connect to the customer insight. Imagine that one salesperson that hold the phone or tablet can actually see all the information from five different systems. How powerful is that, right? And we can also create a trigger using the Power Automate and maybe using the Power BI to analyze some information that has been unified in the customer insight. Or if you have the custom application, you can utilize the API. So you can call the API to read data from the customer insight. So I will show you some example about how we can integrate with customer insight. In here, if you see there's a Dynamics 365 for marketing, right? And if I go to here, I have my dynamic marketing apps. So dynamic marketing is app to do the marketing automation. So we can create a customer journey. So from them, we can define the journey for each customer. So it's more personalized engagement with the customer. So in here, if we go to the segmentation here, we can see some of the segment is actually pulled from the customer insight. So in here, you can see the high value online customer is actually from here, the high value online customer, and we can see all the information is listed in here. And if we go to the general tab, we can see this segmentation is actually come from the customer insight. So imagine that we can create a segmentation from 5 or 6 different systems and use it to send a personalized offer or engagement in marketing app is so powerful. And another example is like we can combine with the customer service hub. If you see these pages, right, it's actually the Dynamics 365 for sales, the customer profile. In here, you can see the inside timeline is actually pulled from the customer inside in here. See, okay? And also in here, the KPI and the demographic is also pulled from the customer insight. So the KPI is from the measurement that we created in the customer insight, and the demographic also from the customer insight. Actually, we can replace the demographic here using the demographic that has been unified in the customer insight. So another example is we can create an app, right? Like I said before, we can create an app that used by the salesperson and connect to the customer insight. So in here, there's a sample Power Apps about apps to see the information about this person actually. And the activity here is connect to the customer insight. The current points and the lifetime value is also connect to the customer insight. So imagine that one salesperson hold the tablet and AB must come to the coffee shop, and the salesperson can know all the activity that Abby was doing, not only in the cafe shop. Maybe he also know what Abby must do it in the online, what she purchased, what she doing in the another store, right? So it's very powerful. And another example is like you can do analytic using the Power BI to connect to the customer insight data. So in here, you realize, right, the average online purchases is higher than the average store purchases. And if you can see here, there is some pattern for both online and offline purchases that in March the sales is lower than in the January and February. So maybe in this month you can do some promotion or program that increase your sales. So all of this information or application is actually pull the data from the customer insight and use the data to power their application. So how we can do this. I will show you step by step how we can combine all of this data into one unified customer data. So let's we start, but the first one you need to do is the data ingestion. So the first thing when you do the data unification is to bring all the data into the customer insight. So we navigate to the data sources. We can add data sources here. Click next, and we name it like maybe my data, and then we click next. It will bring you to a page that all the pre-built connection of the customer insight is listed. There is some pre-built connection like Access, Excel, or customer data service. So in here, you can see all the category of the pre-built connection. So you have Access, you have CDS, you have Excel, maybe, and also Salesforce is listed in here. You also have Azure SQL database and others. So if you don't see any system, any connector that been integrated here to your custom application, you can actually use the web API and call the application data and bring it to here. So uh, for this demo, I will go to the text and CSV, and then we go to here. Let's wait. That will bring all the data into here. See, all of the data is imported to the customer insight, right? And then we can transform the data first. We can manipulate some column or some data type in here using the Power Query, right? So in here, if I can see because of this first row is actually a column header, so I can transform it, use the first row as a header. So when I'm doing this transformation, all the history actually has been listed in here. So you can go back to the previous step and do some changes, right? So like example in here for data bird, I also want to change to date and time. So you can change all the type of this column. Okay, when you do the changes and I'm done with the changes, then I click next. It will validating the queries and back to the data sources. Okay, and if you can see, we got a new data sources. So it will refreshing and try to synchronize all the data from the external sources to this customer insight. You also can schedule the time of synchronization in here. So in here, you can go to the schedule. You can schedule the time of all data sources and refresh the data based on the schedule. And if you notice, uh, the data sources that you bring will create an entity here in the customer insight. So like all the entity here is actually created from the data sources. So each data sources, maybe we create a one or two entity in the customer insight. So that's how you do the unification. So the next step for data ingestion, after you're doing the data ingestion, the next step is you're doing the unification process. Okay. So the unification process is the process that to unify all the data sources that you have been bring to the customer insight. The data unification process let you to unify data sources that were once disparate into a single master customer data sets that provide a holistic view of your customer. That it contain a three-step. There's a map, match, and merge. Let's look at it how we can do it in the customer insight. So in here, you can go to the Unify tab, and you can see there's a three-step here, map, match, and merge. Okay. So in map, we can add some entity. For example, like in here, I add e-commerce contact entity, right? So this is where the AI works. If you can see, this is a field name, right? And in the type, they automatically assign this city is a, a city field. So they standardize all the data into the common data model. So for the contact is an ID. For the date of birth is a birth date. So they try to standardize all the field from the different system and services. This is usually take a long time for a developer to build in from scratch, but using the customer insight, you can do it quickly by using AI. And also, after you automap, you can also do the mapping by yourself. For example, like gender, maybe you can choose another field to map, right? And you after you do the mapping, you need to choose the primary key. So for the e-commerce contact, I choose contact ID as a primary key. And for the loyalty customer, also I do the same. The primary key of loyalty customer is loyalty ID. And also combined with the Dynamics 365 contacts, I choose the contact ID as a primary key. After I choose the primary key and mapping all the fields from different system into the common data model, the next thing I want to do is the matching process. Okay, so in the matching process, you can match one system with another system. So for example, in here, the result is you can get a unique customer from the matching process, right? So in here, you can see the primary entity is the e-commerce context. So I mean I'm assume that the e-commerce contact is has the master also is has the complete version of the contact. So I will use this as a master data. Then I will try to combine with the loyalty customer. So if I combine these two system, I need to define the rule of the combination. So in here, I define a rule, say that full name and email. So if I click this one, you guys can see, right? Uh, this rule is contain two condition. The first condition is full name. So I match this e-commerce contact with loyalty customer contact using the full name. And I normalize this using the phone name, address, and organization. So the normalization is also the AI capability in customer insight. So they will normalize all the field like a space, like uh, a symbol to match with this type. So phone name, address, and organization, right? So in here, I choose the precision is too low. So it's different with the email. In the email, I choose the precision value to high. So what is the difference? Uh, the exact precision, meaning like you have the exact alphabet, exact value. So in condition, the first condition, I don't want to limit the exact match because maybe Junaidi is the same person. So I will use the low precision for full name. But in conditions, and in the second condition for email, I assume that this email is come from two system, which is the human error is minimum. So I will use the high value precision for this rule. So if we combine these two, we can get uh, like a bunch of data with this percentage. So let's see one by one. Some of them. So for example, like the Rosal Daniel is 100% with the Daniel Rosal from the loyalty customer. You see, the name is flipped, Rosal Daniel and Daniel Rosal, but the Daniel Rosal email same between these two system. So meaning this uh, two person is the same person. So AI can divine that. So, but let's see about the what is the Georgian to this person. I think have the same not the same name, right? You see the last name is Toudse, right? This one is different. So, but I think the email is the same, right? So this one is 96% because uh, of the because of the last name of this 2% is different, but the email is the same. So 69% for this person. So all of this percentage you can define. So for example, like 60% below, you can try to export to CSV and try to do the manual matching, or you can pass to the customer service agent to follow up this information. So this is the process, matching process. So another example is like uh, I match the primary contact email commerce, e-commerce with the Dynamics 365. So in here, I am using the email match. So I will match between two systems using the email address. So you can match more than one system. Okay. So after you do the match, you will get the unique customer and the matches record, right? So the next step is doing the merge. Okay, so let's leave this page. So in this merge, you can see there is some field that automatically merge. For example, like first name. First name in the e-commerce contact and loyalty customer is merged, become one. Last name also. Full name, date of birth, gender, email, and telephone. And some of them is not merged, so it's removed from the customer record. So it automatically merge the information that they are the same. So that's the process of unify customer data. When you do this, you will get the customer profile, unified customer profile. So after you do this, you will get all of this one customer profile. Okay. So after you do the unification process, the match, map, match, and merge, the next thing you want to do is to create a relationship between entity. So for example, like in here, I create a relationship between a customer e-commerce purchase with a customer, the unified customer. So let's say that one customer, one unified customer can have multiple e-commerce purchase history, right? So one too many, right? Then they link with the contact ID. Another sample is like online purchase. So um, one customer can have more than one e-commerce purchase, right? So also one too many. So after you create this relationship, then you can define the activity. So in here, you define the activity for each data sources. So for example, in the e-commerce purchase, you have some timestamp for purchase on, right? You create this activity by link the entities table to this activity. So in here, you can choose the timestamp purchase on. The event type is activity display. So you select the activity type in here. You can also define, for example, in here, the purchase, the activity entity is e-commerce purchase. Then the field, I think the ID is the contact ID, and the entity is e-commerce contact related to field contact ID. Name it like online purchase. So it will query all of the timestamp purchase on in the e-commerce data sources and save it as the e-commerce activity. Same also with the POS purchases and also web review. So after that, you can enrich your data using Microsoft Graph, which is only available in the US market. But I will show you how we can do that. In here, you can choose the brands, for example, like Caribou Coffee or Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts. And interest, you also can define the interest, and then you can actually map your unified data, so your unified customer data with the Microsoft data. So from here, I can map the date of birth and the gender. And so in here, date of gender, let me edit. So there are three items you can map: date of birth, gender, country or region. So in here, I don't care about the country and region. I only map with the gender and date of birth. So it will query using the Microsoft Graph and Microsoft Bing information, match with these two information and get the interested or branding interested. After you do the enrichment, you can create a measurement. So in measurement, you can create a measurement from the unified customer profile. So in here, let's see the example, average store purchase value, right? Let's see how we can create a measurement from here. So we define the entities first. the table that we bring into the customer insight. So in this example, I will define the POS purchases. So in here, we also can measure what attribute we want to measure. So I want to measure average of the POS purchase entity in the POS purchase. The field is total price and I save as the average store purchase value. So it will query from all your unified customer profile the average store purchase for all your customer. Another example is maybe lifetime lifetime span, right? Let's see this one. Okay, so this one is you combine the entities, the customer insight with the e-commerce entity and also the POS entity. Then you create a variable that sum the total price in the POS and total price in the e-commerce. And you use this variable as a lifetime span. So it's combined between two systems to get a total price, total lifetime span from two systems. So it's another example. You can create a measurement. So the next thing, if you are already done the sum measurement, is you create a segmentation. So this segmentation can be exported to any product or in integrated product like a Dynamics 365 for marketing. And how to create a segmentation is like this one. So you can create from blank segment or you can create from profile or measurement. So you can after you create a measurement, actually you can create a segmentation from here. So for example, like if I navigate to the segmentation, create a new from the measurement, I can select, for example, like I want to create the average store purchase, whereas the maybe greater than like 50, then I can review. So in for this segment, I have 4,980 customer, right? So I can name it like my segment, right? My segment, and then I can save it. So from here, they will try to refresh and synchronize in need times. After that, you can actually add to my marketing instance and it will automatically go to the marketing inside and you can create some customer journey and marketing automation. So from here, if you can see, I have the segmentation already synchronized to my Dynamics app, the high value online customer, and also the summer promotion, right? So what I need to do is I jump to the customer journey and I create one of the customer journey. For example, like here, I create a journey for my customer newsletter. So in my customers here, I define my segment as the segmentation that has been created in customer insight. Then I do a scheduler. So I will send this newsletter each month for 12 months uh, repeatedly using the email message. So in here, you also can do some personalization, like for example, um, a trigger. So for example, like if someone read your, we can create some rule here at the logic newsletter and condition is email open or bounce or click or something happen, you can do some next action. So from the personalized segmentation to the personalized action, it will link all together in this marketing app and customer insight. So another example is when I show you the Power Apps, right? So in Power Apps, actually, if you go to data sources, you can look for customer insight here, and it will retrieve all your entity in the customer insight to the Power Apps. And in here, actually, if you go to this tree view and gallery, you can see the items here is refer to the customer. Actually, this customer is get from the customer insight. So just like that, it's easy. And another example is like I show you how to build a Power BI, right? So in the Power BI, you just need go to get data and then you choose the connection. Of course, the connection to the customer insight. So in here, you go to the customer insight and just connect. Okay, it will retrieve all the entity, all the measurement that has been created in the customer insight, and you can do all the data and do the analysis with the data that has been unified in the customer insight. So in here you can see all the table, all the entity that has been unified in the customer insight. So that's all. How you can unify the customer data from different sources into one unified customer data and use that data in the other product like marketing, Power Apps, customer for sales, and also analytic with Power BI. So here's are the complete summary of the dynamic customer insight capability. So we can gain a holistic view of customer, we can unlock insight and take action, adapt and extend the solution. So that's all the overview of customer insight and the capability of that.